The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hoop Ballers! Are you ready? That's right, Hoop Ballers. Time to break it down. Box score breakdown, y'all. Josh Millman, I'm back. Wednesday night, December 11th. Got a big old slate for you. 11 games. A lot of action. Big names. Big box scores. Lots to cover. And, as always, I got my man, El Capitan, Kurt Beach. Kurt, what's up, dude?
Josh, you know me. I'm just living the dream out here. How you doing?
Yeah, baby. I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. How's everything been? You're good?
Yeah, no complaints. Getting ready for the holiday season.
Exactly, aren't we all? It's always that holiday chaos where you're just kind of just waiting for it to get there. You know, all the stress that goes into it. I feel you, man. I feel you. But a lot of ball to cover. So we're gonna get right into it. And as always, you know that this is a hoop ball presentation. The box score breakdown, hoop-ball.com. Check us out online. Also, we are brought to you by the Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. So this podcast, like all of our shows, is brought to you by our title sponsor, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. Check out their website at hawaiianisles.com or on Amazon by searching for Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. We're also on Twitter at HI Kona Coffee. And also make sure that you check out the Brews Letter. Our founder, the great Aaron Brewski, he's writing an email newsletter. So if you haven't signed up already, check out hoop-ball.com/newsletter. Sign up. It'll take 10 seconds, and it is just incredible content. You won't find it anywhere else. He's not doing it on social media. He's not writing for the site. It's only in this newsletter. So do us all a favor. Sign up. Hit pause on this podcast and go sign up. Speaking of this podcast, do leave us a review. If you like what you hear, we would love the feedback. That's what keeps us going over here at the Hoops. So would love your commentary if you're listening out there to the box score breakdown. So Kurt, again, we got a big old slate, so we're gonna hop right into it. I'm gonna start with the Rockets and Cavs. Rockets winning 116-110. This is not let's not stand on ceremony here, I guess. This is all about James Harden, the beard, going off for a monster 55 points, 8 assists, 3 boards, 2 steals, 2 blocks. One of those James Harden nights, man. 20 of 34 from the floor, including 10 3-pointers. Just one of those games where you just sit back and go, my God, this guy is incredible. He's the number one guy for a reason, and this was just one of those nights where he just let it all hang out. Russell Westbrook didn't have a bad night himself. 23 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. He had 4 steals also, and the beauty of this line is that he was 9 of 20 from the floor, so he didn't kill you in field goal percentage, and he was also perfect from the stripe, which is great. I would love this kind of night from Russ more often, where he doesn't force those triple doubles on you and crushes you in the percentages. So this was an encouraging night. Clint Capella with a double-double, 10 points, 13 boards, an assist, a steal, and 3 blocks. A very good, solid Clint Capella night, 5 to 6 from the floor. Not eye-popping stats, but again, this is very typical of a solid player like Capella. PJ Tucker, 8 points, a couple steals. He had 5 boards and an assist. Not great shooting, though. He had 2 3-pointers, but only 2 of 8 from the floor, perfect from the stripe. Daniel House as well. Only 6 points, 3 boards, an assist, a steal. Also a poor shooting night. This was James Harden's night. I wouldn't look too deep into those numbers from PJ Tucker. They are both going to get heavy minutes, and they will get the effect of, just by virtue of playing those heavy minutes, they will continue to have solid value as a part of this high-scoring Rockets team. One thing to note is Ben McLemore off the bench, 33 minutes, but not a whole lot with it. 6 points, 3 boards and an assist with the block as well, but also a poor shooting night. I wouldn't read too much into McLemore. I know he had been a little bit hot with House out of the lineup, but with Eric Gordon coming back, and McLemore shifting to the bench, I wouldn't pay too much of an investment in him. Maybe as a 3-point streamer, but I think we know who he is at this point. Kurt, what do you want to hit on for the Rockets before we move on to the Cavs?
I agree with you on all that stuff, man. Keep holding House and Tucker. And McLemore, I don't think he's a must-own guy in 12-teamers. Like you said, he's a streamer for threes, kind of like a Tim Hardaway. He's going to be up and down. But as much as they score, he should have value most nights. But he's not a must-own. On the Cavs side, Kevin Love, 17 and 11, 2 assists, a steal, a block. Better game for him tonight. His name's been thrown around in some trade rumors. So kind of depending on where he would land, how that would affect his value. He says he wants to go to a contender. Chetty Osman still starting and not doing anything of note for standard leaguers. Tristan Thompson's having a decent year. Really good year. Decent night tonight. 11-7, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Colin Sexton doing his thing, scoring and not much else. 18 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 3 assists. Darius Garland, I've had hopes for this guy, and I pick him up, I drop him. I pick him up, I drop him. And right now, I'm leaving him on the wire until he does it a couple times and has solid games a couple times in a row. But it might not be till later in the season, and it might not happen at all, especially if he's taking lessons from Colin Sexton. Off the bench, Larry Nance Jr., only 18 minutes, 3.6 boards, 1 assist. He'll be better than this on most nights, and he's probably somebody you want to cling to with those trade rumors for Kevin Love. I believe Love is eligible to be traded around December 15th or 16th. I could be wrong on that. So, I mean, he might not even be there in a few days. So, I'd keep holding Larry Nance if you had him, and maybe pick him up if he's been dropped and you have somebody to cut. Jordan Clarkson, kind of similar to Sexton and Garland, 17, 4 and 4, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 threes. And really the only guy here that moves the needle for me or has my interest is Kevin Porter Jr. 29 minutes tonight, 24 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 6 3-pointers. I would probably put money on that being his best line of the year. But I'm definitely intrigued. He's got the ability to kind of contribute across the stat sheet. I'm not picking him up anywhere in standard leagues, maybe in deep leagues if you can afford to hold on. But he's definitely somebody I'm going to be keeping an eye on going forward. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Just keep an eye on Porter. Just they need to shake up this lineup, and there's probably going to be some opportunity for him to play. Larry Nance, yeah, this seems like a weird outlier for him. I wonder if it was just the matchup or something else, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just hang on to him because we know what Nance can do from a value standpoint. So thank you for that, Kurt. We're going to move on to the Pacers and Celtics. Pacers beating the Celtics 122-117. I will start on the Celtics side of things with Kemba Walker with a 44-point outburst, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, couple steals, 16 of 28 from the floor. He was feeling it. 7 3-pointers as well. Just a huge night for him. This is probably his best game in a Celtics uniform. So good on him just because, it was a little bit up and down for him. But we know he can blow up. And without Marcus Smart there, they needed to try to ride Kemba Walker. Unfortunately, it didn't result in a win for the Celtics. But fantasy owners aren't going to mind that so much when they see a night like this. Moving on to Jason Tatum. His shooting struggles are kind of continuing. He was only 4 of 13 from the floor, 16 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals. Perfect from the stripe, though. And I don't think Tatum owners are going to panic that much considering what value he's brought. But the shooting is a little bit worrisome. But that's really the only flaw that he's bringing right now. He's still excellent. Daniel Tice, 11 points, 6 boards in 27 minutes on 5 of 9 shooting. He didn't really do much on the defensive side, which he's good at, but he also fouled out in this one. Without the Time Lord, Robert Williams, he seems to have a little bit more control of the front court on this Celtics team right now, as Enes Kanter only played 14 minutes off the bench. So, again, he's a little bit more of a borderline guy. I like him, but nothing really on the defensive side today. He's not a hold for me, but just someone to just keep an eye on if injuries hit the Celtics front court. Jaylen Brown, 18 points, 8 boards, 8 assists, a steal on 7 to 12 shooting, 2 3-pointers as well. Great line for him. Only 2 of 3 from the stripe, which, okay, not the worst thing in the world. Great overall line. He's been excellent this year. 4 turnovers kind of stinks, but again, he's going to handle the ball a lot. He's going to shoot the ball a lot. Comes with the territory. He's having a nice season, and something that we thought he could do by stepping forward on this Celtics team. Gordon Hayward, 25 minutes. I think he got banged in the nose tonight, so had to leave this game a little bit early. He only had 9 points, 3 assists, and a rebound. I wouldn't look again. Don't panic again. It's one of those things where just I think he got hit in the face and had to leave the game. So just hang on. Just keep an eye on the news. And, go from there. Brad Wanamaker was leader off the bench with 12 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, and a block, but I wouldn't pay that too much mind either because, again, Marcus Smart being sidelined in this one. But a very starter-heavy rotation for these Celtics. And, again, that will probably remain the case, especially when Smart comes back. Kurt, anything you want to add on the Celtics?
Only if you're a big Gordon Hayward believer. He was a top 30 type of guy. I think he still was prior to tonight. Sometimes people just look at the stat line and not necessarily the news on that player. So if they see that stat line, his last game was a little lackluster, you might be able to buy low on him. On the Pacers side, Domantas Sabonis continues to feast with 15 and 14. Also had 8 assists tonight, which is nice. A steal, 5-11 from the field, 5-6 from the free throw line. He's having a great year, taking all the rebounds. He had 14 out of the starters, total 21, so 2/3 of the rebounds, which left Miles Turner with just 4. He had 11 points and 2 blocks, 1 3. I think he's a massive buy low right now. I think he's around number 95 in 9 cap. However, that being said, I don't think he's going to be getting up to his second round value where he was taken, second round valuation where he started the season in most leagues. But he'll definitely be better than this. And really, you just want those blocks out of him anyway. He can win you that category almost by himself. Malcolm Brogdon, perfect from the free throw line, 15 of 15. Chipped in 29 points, 8 dimes, 2 steals. He's having a great year. Jeremy Lamb, quiet night, 6 points, 2 assists. Who else we got? TJ Warren, 14 and 1 with 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 threes. Kind of usual suspects here. Similar stuff going on. We got news on Victor Oladipo today that they really don't know when he's going to return. I would keep holding on to him, especially if you got him in an IR spot or if you have multiple IR spots. That could change any point. Justin Holiday was nice off the bench with 17 and 6, 3 steals, 3 threes. He's pretty shaky, but maybe a deep league special. And Aaron Holiday, who's always pretty good whenever he gets decent minutes, 27 tonight. For 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 threes. And really not a whole lot moving the needle here for me, Josh, in terms of value gained or lost. What about for you?
Probably more of the same. Justin Holiday's had some really sneaky value games this year, and this is one of them. This is a pretty solid line for him because he can 3-and-D a bit. So it's a big scoring night. Surprising to see him take 14 shots out of this team. So he's actually had some value. I think he's a pretty nice little streamer while this streak is going on for him. Again, the potential or not potential return of Victor Oladipo kind of throws things for a little bit of a wrench. But if he's available, I'm not opposed to you picking Justin Holiday up because he can. He's good. He's got a good overall fantasy friendly game to him. So keep your eye on him if you don't have him already. We're going to move on to the Lakers and Magic. The Lakers dispatching of the Orlando Magic 96-87. We will start with the King, LeBron, 25, 11, and 10. That's a triple-double, folks. A couple steals as well on 11 of 24 shooting, a three-pointer, and his customary lousy shooting from the free throw line. Again, we love this is the LeBron we expect. He can fill up the stat sheet, and he's still going to struggle from the stripe. He's going to still put up top 10 value in spite of it. But you may have to be forced to punt free throws if you're carrying him, and it's kind of difficult. So him and Giannis, it's a bit of a struggle in those categories, but he can do it everywhere else. A quiet-ish night from Anthony Davis. The unibrow went for 16 and 12, added 6 assists, a couple of steals, a couple of blocks, and only 6 of 20 from the floor. Did add a three-pointer. It was only 3 of 4 from the stripe. Quiet night, at least by Anthony Davis standards. I wouldn't panic by this by any means. It's just, it was a little off shooting night. On the road, one of the better defensive teams in the league. Don't worry about it. KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, had 15 points and 3 steals. Not a whole lot else, but 5 of 10 from the floor and played 31 minutes. So, again, a lot of three-point streamers out there. He's one of them. He's been getting solid minutes on this team, so just someone to keep your eye on. Danny Green, getting a whole lot of time and doing a whole lot of nothing with it as usual. 8 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, a steal, a block. I mean, it's a nice all-around line, but just kind of the season he's having, this is probably like as optimal as it gets for him. Deeper leagues, sure. Standard leagues can't endorse right now. This team is owned by LeBron and Anthony Davis, and whenever Rajon Rondo comes back, that will throw a wrench into things as well. JaVale McGee got the start at center. He had 8 points, 4 boards, no blocks, which is where he gets a whole lot of his value. So that's kind of disappointing. The timeshare that he has with Dwight Howard is tough to depend on either one of these guys. JaVale just by default kind of gets the nod in that regard. Alex Caruso. For those hoping that he'd kind of be a breakout guy off the bench. Not a great line for him. 7 points, 6 boards, a steal. He did play 28 minutes, which is encouraging. But again, with Rondo out, it's hard to tell whether these things will remain consistent. Kurt, anything you want to add on the Lakers?
No, like you said, man, it's AD and the LeBron show. After that, it's hard to trust anyone.
Yes, sir. Give me some magic.
On the Magic side, Aaron Gordon went for 14 and 14 with a triple-1. Jonathan Isaac had 19 and 8 with a steal, 2 blocks, 2 threes. Gotta love that guy. DJ Augustine got the start because Markelle Fultz was out with a stomach virus. He had 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Evan Fournier, he's been a pretty hot sell-high candidate. 18, 2 and 5, 3 threes. He might take a hit in usage when Vooch comes back, which I'm reading could be as soon as Friday. And that would really hurt the value of Kem Birch and also Mo Bamba. Probably more so Kem Birch. Bamba's kind of been getting the same amount of minutes he did even when Vooch was playing. Off the bench, he had 13 and 4 with a block. He's a decent block specialist. Terrence Ross, he played 29 minutes, only had 4 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 3 steals, no threes. He's been really hot the last month. He'll probably also lose a few shots when Vooch comes back, but he's been great. Keep holding on there. And really, that's all I have on the Magic, Josh.
Yeah, these guys are pretty easy to decipher. Jonathan Isaac is Jonathan Isaac. Gordon, again, every time you think like he's terrible, he puts up a decent line. And yeah, Bamba, look, we got to wait and see what happens with when Vooch comes back. But I still think that he can carve out a per-minute role off the bench, depending on just how healthy Vooch will be when he gets back. We will move on to the return of Kawhi Leonard to Toronto. And it was the Clippers, his new team, beating his old team 112-92. It was all about Kawhi, and in this one, he had 23 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, a couple steals on 8 of 14 shooting, perfect at the stripe. A very solid Kawhi line. One of the things that we've kind of dinged him on is the percentages haven't been great this year. His usage has been up, the shooting's been up, but the percentage is not quite there. At least not what we have been kind of trained to get from Kawhi Leonard, but this was a solid shooting night for him. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Paul George is only 3 of 14 tonight. only 2 of 14 from deep. He was perfect at the stripe, but all in all, that only resulted in 13 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and a block as well. Again, just chalk it up to one of those off nights. And the Clippers kind of controlled this one after the second quarter, so I'm not going to read too much into this. Mo Harkless, 14 points, 7 boards, an assist, and a steal. Not bad night for him. He's been, up and down, I guess. Not no one I'm holding on to in standard leagues, but he does kind of contribute games like this, especially when we know when Kawhi Leonard is having one of his sabbaticals. Pat Beverly, I think he left this one early due to a concussion. Yes, he did. He left early due to a concussion, so he only played 19 minutes. He was looking pretty good early on. 11 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. It's almost like a full line for him, so it's a shame that he had to leave early. For Pat Beverly to kind of cut his night short and see what was. The big guys off the bench, Montrezl Harrell, 10 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, and a block. Only 3 of 9 shooting in this one for him. We will probably just chalk this one up to the Clippers were in control of this one. Didn't really need Harrell's services, so I'm not going to read too much into that. He's been excellent for the good majority of the season. Lou Williams, 18 points, 6 boards, 8 assists, a steal. A great night for Lou Will. His shooting can kind of come and go, but he was 7 of 12 tonight, 3 3-pointers from deep. And those are really your main cogs in the Clippers' wheel. Kurt, what else you got for me on those clips?
I got nothing on him, man. You nailed it. You want to hear about the Raptors?
Yeah, baby.
Alrighty. Pascal Siakam, 24, 4 and 3, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 1 3. He's having a great year. Marc Gasol, well-rounded line for him. Guy who's been getting some drop questions. 9, 11, and 6 with 3 steals, 1 block, 1 3. Obviously not giving you the return you'd probably want, and he doesn't score a lot, but he's kind of quietly doing everything else. So I'd probably keep holding him in pretty much all spots. Kyle Lowry, off shooting night, only took 8 shots, 6 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. He'll be better. Played 35 minutes tonight versus like the 39 that he'd been getting in previous games, so it's better. You probably want his minutes to be even lower, probably around 31, 32 if he's going to stay healthy. Norm Powell, he'd been a little up and down, but he's had more good games than bad in the last 3 weeks or so. 22, 3 and 1, 1 steal, 2 3-pointers. He's not a bad last guy to have on your team. Other than that, OG Anunoby, 13 and 7, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 1 3. Some of the luster has been coming off on him. I still love his game, his ability to contribute in all those cash counting stats. We hear that Fred VanVleet's knee contusion, which kept him out tonight, isn't supposed to be super serious. So hopefully we see a return there. He's been having a great year. Off the bench, Chris Boucher, only 9 minutes. Ibaka went 0 for 8 from the field and 0 for 3 from three-point land, which is not quite like him, but he did get you 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks. The blocks haven't been there for him this year. I think he's averaging 0.8, so definitely down, but he's still getting you 13 points and 7 boards. That's something that's probably pretty hard to get off the waiver wire, and I'd expect his blocks to at least come back a little bit. Terrence Davis had some buzz around him, only played 15 minutes, so not someone you can count on there. What's your take on these Raptors, Josh?
Yeah, you got it all pretty much on lockdown. Yeah, I haven't. I mentioned this in Fantasy NBA today. I'm not giving up on Marc Gasol. And for that reason, he may not be super involved in the offense, but he can do a bunch of things everywhere else. And as long as we recalibrate our expectations, just don't think that he's going to be like the top 50 guy, but could be kind of a back-end top 100 guy if he keeps putting up lines like this. That's not a bad guy to have. There's always room for guys like that. And on the flip side, just a bad night for Ibaka. Just his numbers are down. I'm sure he's still getting back in the swing of things. It's a good buy low or pickup opportunity if he's been left hanging in your leagues.
Hey Josh,
go ahead.
So speaking of Gasol, I looked him up. He was drafted, or his default draft was around 76, and he's around 130 something right now. But in the last 30 days, he's actually 78. So his default rank was 76. He's at 78. Only 6 points and shooting 33% from the field.
It's unbelievable.
And like you said on Fantasy NBA today, that's definitely due for a regression. I mean, so he could actually climb higher than his draft day cost.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of a run in him. Again, like I don't expect him to, blow up the scoreboard on most nights, but still, he does so much around the other categories that just a few more shots need to go in, and maybe this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, and 1.7 blocks in the last 30 days.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. We'll take that, right? He's gonna play defense, and that's what he's there for, and they're gonna keep him on the court for that reason. Moving on. Oh God, my Nets blew a massive lead and wound up defeated by the Charlotte Hornets, who were playing their third game in 4 nights, and on the back end of a road back-to-back. Just an inexcusable loss for my Nets. I apologize. A little bit angry about that, as you can tell. 113-108 was the final score in favor of the Hornets. We'll start with Devonte Graham, who, again, we go back and forth on this show as to who the most improved player is, or at least the fantasy waiver pickup of the year. Devonte Graham is a monster, and he has been excellent. 40 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, 12 of 21 shooting, 7 3-pointers, 9 of 11 from the stripe. Just another outstanding night. He caught fire in the second half. The Nets had no answers. He carried this Hornets on his back. An incredible night. He's locked in, guys. That's all there is to it. Terry Rozier had been improving over the last few games. Not a great shooting night for him. We always can't depend on him for field goal percentage. He was only 5 of 15 tonight. Did have 13 points, 7 boards, 4 assists to go along with it. Again, he's been a little bit better, but just not a great shooting night for him, so I wouldn't read too much into that. Miles Bridges, speaking of bad shooting nights, 4 of 16. But he did have 3 3-pointers, 14 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. It's a fairly well-rounded line. We just wish that the shooting percentage was a little bit better. It's really, really been hampering him. But it's nice to see him contribute in some of the other categories. P.J. Washington, 13 points, 6 boards, a block, only 6 shots, 4 of 6 from the field. Did have a couple 3-pointers, 3 of 4. I don't know. I'm a little bit flimsy on him right now. As long as the minutes are still there, and the Hornets were a little bit banged up tonight. No Nick Batum, no Malik Monk. He's still going to get run out there. And if you want to hold, I don't blame you. But he's just a little bit too up and down for my taste right now. The center position's kind of been a rotation. Bismack Biyombo still getting the start, but only got 4 points, 6 boards, an assist, and only 1 block. Cody Zeller, 10 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, and a block. A 3 of 7 shooting, perfect from the stripe. Of all the guys, of those 2 guys, Cody Zeller, to me, is the guy to own. He's the one that we know can, plod his way to top 100 value. I think he can do that from the bench, whether it's starting. It doesn't really matter. He had 20 minutes tonight, and I just hope that they creep his minutes back up. But even still, he's not a bad guy to have on your bench, even in a limited run. Kurt, buzz me some Hornets.
P.J. Washington, I'm holding on to him. He had a run of about a week or two where he wasn't getting a lot of minutes, but a lot of that was foul trouble. And even though it didn't look like a lot of fouls, like 2 or 3, he'd get those fouls and then sit for a long time. So when he's not getting fouls, he gives you this pretty diverse stat set. So I'd hold on to him wherever I had him. And that's really all I got here.
Gotcha, man. All right. Do my Nets so I don't have to, please.
All righty. Jarrett Allen, 21 points, 10 boards, 2 assists, a block, 7-11 from the free throw line. He has been an absolute monster. In the last 30 days, number 32 on the season, and that's in only 26 minutes. Absolute beast. There were drop questions about him early in the season when it's like, oh, is it Jordan or is it Allen? So I think that any talk of that is pretty resoundingly crushed. Spencer Dinwiddie, 24, 5 and 6, 1 steal, 2 threes. He's having a nice run with Kyrie out. I'm not sure how long that's supposed to be. Maybe another week or two, I believe. Taurean Prince also has the ability to contribute across the stat set, but his shooting's really hurting you this year. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 3, 2 of 12 from the field. I'm pretty stoked. About 2 weeks ago, before Bertans went off, I was able to swap out Prince for Bertans, which wasn't an easy move at the time, but now it is paying off dividends. Garrett Temple continues to start 11, 2 and 4, 1 steal, 1 3. He's a back-end 12-team type guy right now, at least until Karras or Kyrie come back. DeAndre Jordan off the bench was able to still give you a serviceable line, considering what Allen did. 9 and 14, 1 assist, 1 block. I don't think he's a must-hold, but he's not a bad guy as one of your last centers. And let's see, Theo Pinson played 15 minutes, and he had 12, 3, and 2 with a block and 2 threes. So a good amount of stats piled up there for only 15 minutes. Josh, what did I miss here?
No, you nailed it. I don't know, man. I'm just really more ticked about the game than anything else. Taurean Prince is so frustrating because he can do so much, and he'll just put up these duds.
Yeah.
2 of 12 shooting. He's been a fringe top 100, top 125 guy all year, and it's really just because he's been shooting so terribly. Even with the team playing as well as they were prior to tonight. So he's been a frustrating guy, but I still would hold him. At least that's what I'm going to do.
Unless it's Bertans.
Unless it's Bertans. Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Definitely move him for Bertans. There's no question about that. Moving on to the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls put a whooping on the Hawks. Was not expecting that one. 136 to 102. I will start on the Hawks side. I'm not really sure that there's that much to go on here. Trae Young, 15 points, 13 assists, couple boards, couple steals, 7 ugly turnovers, 4 of 14 shooting. I feel like the luster's a little bit off of Trae Young a bit. The Hawks have really struggled, and that's going to start to affect, it's going to start to affect Trae Young, and he's going to seems like he last few games has been really trying to force the action. I think there was a little bit of the whole Miami debacle where he was going on with the crowd, and I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but still a top 25 guy. But just again, this is more of a beware moment that if the shooting struggles, it could really really hamper his value. Especially if you're playing in 9 cats and have to deal with the massive amount of turnovers as well. Jabari Parker, 11 points, 7 boards, a steal and a block. Decent all-around night for him. Came on hot once the Collins suspension hit, and then he cooled off. Now he was warming up again. So, solid all-around night, but this is going to be the end of the run for him within the next week and a half before Collins gets back. Let's see. Kevin Huerter, 9 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal. He's been working his way back, playing minutes in the mid-20s. If you want to make a speculative ad, I won't fault you for it. I just think he's a little bit capped right now, but I think that could increase. But I think that they're being a little bit cautious with him. Let's see. DeAndre Hunter, he blew up not that long ago, but only finished this one with 6 points, 2 boards, an assist, and a block. And I think that's kind of the problem with this Hawks team is just that you never really know where the stats are going to come from on a night-to-night basis, especially if your name isn't Trae Young. Because Cam Reddish off the bench played 29 minutes and had 16 points, 6 boards, an assist, and a block. I mean, it's a great line, and just you can't depend on him on a night-to-night basis. The percentages weren't great tonight, and he's been kind of really, really low on the value scale throughout the year. But they're going to keep trotting him out there. And Alex Len just kind of mop things up. Had 17 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. But again, I'm not paying this front court too much mind. With or without John Collins, it's a bit of a mess, and I'm not touching it. Kurt, hawk me.
Only thing I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate on is Cam Reddish. I'm not a fan of this guy's fantasy game, but he's played good minutes in the last 5. Granted, today was a blowout, so a little hard to read into. In the last 7 days, he's number 123 on the season. Not fantastic, but in the standard league discussion the last 7 days, on the strength of 14 and 5 with 2 triples and 1 steal. I don't think you can depend on him, but maybe later in the year he might be a guy worth owning. I like that his position versatility on Yahoo. He can play point guard, shooting guard, and small forward, so that really helps on those days when your lineup's full. I'm not picking him up, but maybe, like I said, just playing some devil's advocate there.
I think that's fair. But yeah, just too inconsistent for me. But I understand the logic there.
Yes, sir. On the Bulls side, all these guys played limited minutes because of the blowout. No one played more than 25, and the 25 went to Zach LaVine. He was scorching hot today. 35, 2 and 4 with 1 steal, 1 block, 7 3-pointers, and he took 7, hit 7, took 4 free throws, hit 4, and 12 of 16 from the field. If he played a regular allotment of minutes here, he could have been close to 50. Thomas Satoransky, a little quiet tonight. 7, 2 and 3, 1 steal, 1 3-pointer. Hold on to him. He's having a good year. Chris Dunn, if you picked him up, it was probably for the steals, which he got again tonight. 3 steals, 1 block, 2 assists, 3 boards, 9 points. Does a little bit of everything. And with Otto Porter out for another month and maybe longer, definitely keep riding him. Wendell Carter Jr. had 11 and 10. No defensive stats. No triples. Lauri Markkanen, I think the buy low window is closed. He's had some really solid games lately. 11, 4 and 2. 2 triples. Off the bench, we had Thad Young. Give us a vintage Thad line. 15, 9, and 6 with 3 steals, 1 3. If you played Thad in DFS tonight, you probably won some money. Kobe White, we know the story with him. He really just scores and not a whole lot else. 19 points, but he did chip in a steal and a block and a few assists. I don't trust him, but I couldn't blame you if you're holding on to him in a standard league for hope of better days. This team doesn't have anything to play with, so he could get some extended run as the year goes on. Good to see Denzel Valentine finally getting a few minutes. He's got a well-rounded fantasy game if he ever got up into the mid-20s consistently. 10, 3, and 5 with 4 steals and 2 blocks. Really solid on the defensive end. Josh, that's all I got here.
I'm with you, man. The buy low window it's either completely shut on Lauri Markkanen, or you may have only a sliver of hope of buying low if someone's just looking at his season-long stats, because he's starting to figure it out. We know what he's capable of. He's been a top 50 guy over the past week, and that could very well continue for a very long stretch if he's got his shooting stroke back. So nice to see. If you held on to him, good on you. So that's pretty good. We are going to move on. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. Let's go with the Jazz and Wolves. Jazz beating the Minnesota Timberwolves 127-116. We will get into the Utah Jazz side of things. Donovan Mitchell, 30 points, 6 assists, 5 boards, a block. Good shooting night for him. 13 of 20 from the floor, 2 of 2 at the stripe. Great line. Kind of hovering around that top 50 number, but lines like this will certainly do wonders for him. Rudy Gobert, a big line for him. 20 points, 16 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 8 of 11 from the floor. Only 4 of 7 from the stripe, but that's kind of his MO. It was struggles early on in the season, but he's had a really good stretch over the past few weeks, even with the little bit of injury issue that he dealt with in between. Again, we know what he's capable of. This was one of those nights, so it's good to see him come through, especially with a tough matchup against one of the league's best in Karl Anthony Towns. Joe Ingles, hey, how about this guy? 23 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, a steal. He's on a heater. 9 of 14 shooting, 3 of 6 from deep, 2 of 2 from the stripe. Amazing what can happen when Mike Conley isn't on the floor. and this is really, I guess it's sort of safe to say that this is pretty temporary, but he's been lighting it up while Conley's been out with his hamstring injury. So I want to say that this is fairly short-lived, but it seems like Conley's hamstring issue has been lingering. We know he's not getting any younger, so ride the wave if it's there. If you guys are in daily leagues or anything like that, dude, grab him. If people gave up on him, grab him, ride it, and once Conley gets back, just say, you know what, we're done here. But but he's been red hot. So I would play the streak while you still can. Bojan Bogdanovic, 14 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, ugly 6 turnovers, ugly 4-14 shooting. Better nights ahead. Jazz won. I'm sure that's fine. Donovan Mitchell had a big night, and so they can't all be winners. Don't worry about that if you're a Bogdanovic guy. And again, this bench is kind of nothing to really write home about. Emmanuel Mudiay had 13 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, a couple blocks. So a decent all-around night for him. He did play 22 minutes, so he is kind of stepping in a little bit without Conley there. But it's not enough to make me think of investing in him at any point, even with Conley on the shelf. My money's going to Ingles for that one. Kurt, you got any Jazz you want to play?
Well, I'll just echo what you said with Joe Ingles. Ride him while Conley's out, see what happens. Maybe that gets him going. And if he falls off a cliff when Conley comes back, then you just kick him back into the ocean.
Yes, sir. How about some Wolves?
On the Wolves side, I was going to say Andre. Andrew Wiggins, 26-6 with 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 threes, having a solid year. As Josh predicted, Robert Covington, good to see him shooting the ball a little more tonight. He took 13 shots, which is encouraging. He'd been in the single digits on a lot of nights. Took 10 3-pointers, made 3 of them. He had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. I feel like he's kind of quiet this year, but he's still, I want to say, a top 40, top 50 kind of guy. Karl Anthony Towns, by his standards, a little bit of a pedestrian line tonight. 21-11 with 3 assists, a steal, no blocks, 2 threes, and 5 turnovers. Josh Okogie, maybe a deep league kind of guy here, could maybe push in the standard league conversation now that he's starting. 13-5 with 1 steal, 1 block, 3 threes. Jarrett Culver, forgettable night for him. He only played 21 minutes. I didn't see if there was an injury here. I don't think so. He had 4 points and 3 boards. Probably all it was Jeff Teague getting white hot off the bench for 32 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 4 3-pointers, perfect 6 of 6 from the line, 11 of 16 from the field, and 0 turnovers. Amazing 9-cat line from Jeff Teague. We said it before that him being on the bench didn't make him an auto-cut candidate, and what had kind of not been there early on in his bench role that we weren't seeing was the shots. He was only taking single-digit shots, so if he's getting more up to the 10, 12 shot area, then he's definitely going to be a nice guy. Like I said, a couple of his best games of the season have been off the bench. Josh, what did I miss here?
You got it, man. That was perfect on Teague. Just there was a little bit of momentary panic about him moving to the bench, but that wasn't warranted. What I will have a little bit of panic about, not so much panic, but just something to bear in mind, though, is that the trade rumors are going to start whipping up with a lot of different people involved, and Teague could be another guy that could be on the move. So just something to bear in mind because the Wolves have struggled, and I just wonder if this isn't a bit of a team in flux. He's a name that I'm interested to see if his name doesn't end up in rumor mills, which I'm kind of curious about. In any case, let's move on to the Grizzlies and the Sun. Memphis defeating Phoenix 115-108. The Grizzlies are getting healthy again, and that's good to see. We will start with Dillon Brooks, of all people. 27 points. He led the Grizzlies in scoring. Like I said, 27 points, 3 boards, an assist, 2 steals, 10 of 18 shooting, and perfect from the stripe, is 6 of 6. Look, man, I was like, I wanted to be skeptical of Dylan Brooks, but he's been solid. And he's been a pretty dependable guy on this team. Perhaps I just was more concerned about the consistency in this team and some of the back and forth with just some of the different guys that they have in this rotation between him and Anderson, so on and so forth. But he's been pretty solid. Nice end of the bench type of guy, can fill in on nights like this, especially for decent scoring nights. John Morant, he's been back. His minutes increased a bit to 33, but didn't really shoot the ball a whole lot. Only 9 shots, 4 of 9 from the field, 13 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Not going to read too much into this. Just, he'll have some monster nights. But again, with this team getting a little bit healthier, probably just didn't need to force the ball up as much. And probably because Jaren Jackson Jr. had 24 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, a block, and he was 10 of 18 from the floor as well. So he had a pretty good shooting night. He had it going on. 3 3-pointers as well. Look, we know his upside. But bear in mind, he fouled out in 32 minutes. But his upside are lines like this. The man just got to stay on the floor. That's the name of the game. But he can block, he can score, he can board, shoot threes. Just a matter of staying on and keep putting it all together. Jonas Valanciunas, a quiet night for him after he had quite a tear. Only 6 points, 9 boards, and assists. No defensive stats, no 3-pointers. Let's just forget about this one and move on. Jay Crowder, 13 points. 7 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals. People ask me, should I get, he's a boring guy, but he's a valuable guy. There's nothing wrong with boring, just because he keeps getting minutes and he keeps delivering value. And sometimes that's really all you need. Nice to see Brandon Clark return. He had 22 minutes, 15 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks, 5 of 6 from the floor, 2 3-pointers. This is exactly why we were so excited about him, because he can deliver a lot of value in a limited amount of time. So I'm glad he's back. They'll probably keep his minutes probably in that low to mid-20s range for a little bit, so don't get your hopes up too much. But an excellent per-minute night for him. That's all I've got for these Grizzlies. A couple end-of-the-bench guys like Melton and Kyle Anderson, but they didn't do much to that. D'Anthony Melton, 9 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, a block. Actually, that's a pretty decent line. Only 19 minutes, but I'm giving up on him just because of the Grizzlies getting a little bit healthier. So I don't expect that to continue. Kurt, Grizzly me.
Alrighty. JJJ on the season is number 108 in 9-cat per game. So he's not living up to where you probably picked him around 3rd or 4th round. However, in the last 30 days, he's number 58, a whopping 50 spots higher. So he's definitely trending up. And if people are still looking at the season-long rank, I would be trying to probably buy this guy. And you might not be able to because of all the buzz around him. But I think he's in for a big season if he can avoid foul trouble. On the Sun side, let's start with their stud, Frank Kaminsky. 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 of 4 from three-point land. His run's probably going to come to an end pretty soon as Ayton inches closer to a return. On the season, he's number 233, so nowhere near standard league value unless you've been streaming him for the last couple weeks. Dario Saric has been in the top 100, 7, 5, and 5. I think he'll also see a ding when Ayton comes back. Kelly Oubre played 38 minutes for 14 and 13 with 1 steal, 4 blocks, 1 3-pointer. Gotta love those cash counters. Ricky Rubio had 22 and 8 with a steal and a 3. Perfect 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Devin Booker had an off shooting night. He was 6 of 17 from the field and didn't hit a 3. But he chipped in 10 assists, a steal, 15 points. He'll be better. He's having a strong year. Cam Johnson has been an okay deep league 3-point guy. 24 minutes tonight for 11 and 5. 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 threes. Miles Bridges had an off night tonight. He's been pretty fringy on teams, off teams. 3 points, 3 rebounds. We know he's got the steals potential, but he needs more minutes consistently. Ty Jerome, I'm watching him because you never know what to expect from these rookies. 0 points in 10 minutes. Aaron Baines, second game back, I believe, only played 18 minutes, but went for 12 and 6 with an assist. He had 5 fouls, so I'm guessing that probably limited him there. And I don't think he necessarily disappears when Ayton comes back. Even in a low 20-minute role, he produces in quite a hurry, kind of like a Brandon Clark type. So, yeah, I'm really not doing a whole lot here with this team at this point. Besides, I would ride Baines until Ayton came back. What do you got, Josh?
Yeah, I agree with you on Baines. So it's kind of a wait and see thing. Just the injury kind of slowed him down, but he was delivering, and just they'll find ways to get him on the court even with Ayton back. And I just never thought that in my life I would hear the words Frank Kaminsky stud in the same sentence. So thank you, Kurt.
You'll never hear that again.
No, well, yeah, that window is just about to slam shut. So enjoy that, Frank Kaminsky, if you're listening. Moving on to the Milwaukee Bucks and the New Orleans Pelicans. Bucks without Giannis, still dispatching the Pelicans with ease, 127 to 112. I will go through the Pelicans side of things. J.J. Redick leading the Pelicans in scoring with 31. And what's kind of insane, it was a very kind of Clarkson-y night for him. Only 2 assists and a rebound, no defensive stats to speak of, but a solid shooting night, 10 of 16 from the floor, 8 of 8 from the stripe. I guess the difference, I shouldn't give him the Clarkson label. It's just there, he's not really, that is kind of lunacy. He's never been a big defensive guy, but usually you like to see a little bit more on the boarding and assist side with him. But hey, we're not going to complain when he's clearly was feeling it tonight. So we'll take that. Even though he really kind of hasn't been the J.J. Redick that we've come to know and love. He's been hovering around that top 100 mark for much of the season. This probably will inch him up a little bit further beyond that. So, just another guy who could be in trade rumors as well as the season progresses. Brandon Ingram, 25 points, 10 boards, and assists. Nothing defensive to speak of. Only 9 of 22 shooting. 3 of 10 from the stripe. Okay, is what it is. I mean, all things considered with Brandon Ingram, we were probably not going to get one of those, like a top 20 continuation for him. But hey, it's been a great season, so hang on to him for now. Drew Holiday, 21 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, couple blocks, a disgusting 8 turnovers. But he did shoot 8 of 11 from the floor, did have 4 3-pointers. So you 8 Catters had a great night. Non-Catters, not so much. But, part of it comes with the territory. He did play 38 minutes, which is great. But at the same time, that's a little bit troublesome, considering, he kind of does get a little bit banged up here and there. And there's always a risk of shutdown with this team, so you never know. Jahlil Okafor started and did a whole lot of nothing, 2 points, 6 assists, 3 boards. I think that Derek Favors is getting close to a return. He was with the team practicing, but was ultimately ruled out of this one. So, he is likely to come back from his back injury as well as death in the family. So any value that was left with Okafor and guys like Jaxson Hayes, who did have a pretty good night, 12 points, 5 boards, an assist, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Those days are probably going to be limited moving forward. But a nice night for Hayes, but it's going to be a standalone one because looks like Favors is getting ready to come back. Kenrich Williams got the nod starting and did absolutely nothing with it. 0 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. He did chip in a block and 0 of 5 from the floor. Lonzo Ball, he's just kind of all over the place. 6 boards, and not in a good way all over the place. 6 points, 6 assists, 5 boards, 4 steals. very almost bizarre 5x5 because he added 4 turnovers. Not the kind of 5x5 you really want from Lonzo Ball. 2 of 9 from the floor, a 3-pointer, only 1 of 3 from the stripe. I don't know, man. You know the drill with Ball. Just some of the ugly shooting. He can do it in some of the popcorn stats. He does it on the defensive sides, but man, just some of the shooting, it just can be hideous. And he's got to be healthy, but overall, just it's, he's kind of a name right now, is what it is. Kurt, that's all I got for the Pelicans. Anything you want to add there?
Only thing I'll hone in on is Jaxson Hayes, who I've been kind of avoiding because the looming threat of Zion, of Favors, and who knows what's going to happen with Zion. With this team going nowhere fast, we might see him in very limited role this season. And Favors, we heard him linked to trade rumors today, which take the trade rumors with a grain of salt because you're going to be hearing all kinds of them. But if things break right for Jaxson Hayes, why not play this young guy? In the last 30 days, he's averaging about 10 and 5 with 1.3 blocks, and he's doing it in limited minutes. Also 59% from the field. So I've been hesitant on him, but I could see picking him up for somebody like I don't know if you had a Cody Zeller or a Kelly Olynyk. I could understand if you wanted to take the upside play with Jaxson Hayes.
Interesting. All right. I buy it.
Like I said, not running to pick him up, but I could see it.
No, of course. But no, sure. There's the possibility that everything falls to hell with the Pels. He's the guy. He would be a guy worth hanging on to in that scenario.
Yeah, I think so. On the Bucks side, like you said, no Giannis tonight. So if you thought Ersan Ilyasova was going to go for 18 and 9 with 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 threes, congratulations. You should probably play the lottery. Chris Middleton, 24, 5 and 4 with 2 steals, 1 3. He's getting it back together here. Eric Bledsoe led the team with 29 points, 3 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, 5 3-pointers. Good shooting night for him as well. Wes Matthews started, hit 3 threes, not much else. Brook Lopez is probably the guy that I'm keying in on here. Played 25 minutes, 9 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, only 1 block, and 2 3-pointers. I know points is only one category, but a lot of people seem to overvalue it or put a lot of weight into it. In his last 8 games, Brook Lopez has had 7 single-digit games, and he's just kind of quiet so far, or lately. And I think you could probably get him on the cheap for a guy that's averaging 2.5 blocks in the last 30 days. That's just a monster block number. Just for the blocks alone, I think he's worth buying. Other guys here on the bench, his brother Robin Lopez went for 8 and 5. Nothing to see there. DiVincenzo had some buzz. He's not really worth owning in standard leagues. Maybe 14-teamers. Maybe not even there. 3 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 3 in 24 minutes. George Hill, 13, 3 and 3 with 3 steals and 3 threes. Did that in only 19 minutes. Very solid line for only 19 minutes, but that's not really replicable. He's been a deep league kind of guy this year. Really, Josh? That's all I got here. The only thing, like I said, I'm honing in on is Brook Lopez, trying to buy him.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a buy low window that opened on Lopez just because he has really, really struggled shooting. And those percentages have cratered over the past couple of weeks. So the truth of the matter is that he's still kind of that top 50 range on the full season. But if anyone's getting a little bit panicky because he's been shooting in the low 30s from the floor, then this might be the time to kind of swoop in and pick up a surefire top 50 guy. If any owners are getting panicky about the poor shooting, and you don't need to play the lottery. If you picked up Ersan Ilyasova, you just need to listen to our guys, Coach and Micah Patria, and play some DFS.
That's true.
And check those guys out on DFS today. So I hope that we get a plug in return, boys. So just bear that in mind. Moving on, we will get to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Sacramento Kings. We are recording this on East Coast time because it is late here. And so this game is kind of ongoing. There's 3 minutes left in this one. It is currently 87-86 in favor of the Kings. And low-scoring affair in this one. I will take you through the current Thunder team and see if there's been any changes. It's now 89-86 with under 3 minutes to go. There are a quartet of Thunder players with 12 points. We'll start with Danilo Gallinari. He has 12 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, a steal, only 4 of 12 shooting. Your leading scorer is Abdel Nader, of all people. He has 15 points as the game is now tied 89-89 with 2.5 to go. 15 points, 3 boards, a steal on 5-9 shooting. I would say put a watch on him because he's playing 32 minutes tonight. And Terrence Ferguson has been out. And, someone needs to step in at that small forward position. Steven Adams has 12 points, 13 boards, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 5 of 10 shooting. The free throw shooting is back to ugly again. But you know what? Considering that I wanted to drop him in the worst way early on in the season, I'll take lines like this from him because it got really, really ugly early in the season, but he's turned his season around. So good on Steven Adams. Chris Paul, 8 points, 12 assists, 7 boards, 3 blocks. Not a great shooting night, but considering everything else, I'll take it from Chris Paul. They don't all need to be big scoring nights, but I love 12 assists. I love 7 boards. Love the 3 blocks from him as well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 12 points, 4 assists, 3 boards, a steal and a block, which is nice. But again, the story of the season that he has really, really struggled from the floor. Only 4 of 11 from this one. Off the bench, Dennis Schroeder, 17 points, 2 boards, 2 steals and a block. So great defensive stats. We kind of enjoy him here just from the sheer value standpoint. So solid night for Schroeder off the bench. He's been moving up in the ranks now, well clear of the top 150, and that number could keep climbing depending on how the rest of the season for the Thunder shake out. The game is now 91-91 with a minute to go. Overtime may affect these box scores, but I don't expect a whole lot to change in what was likely a slow-paced game. Kurt, anything you want to add on the Thunder before we jump over to the Kings?
No, I'm good. Let's hit the Kings.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Marvin Bagley returned tonight after whatever it was, 6-8 weeks. So really good to see him back out there. He came off the bench tonight. It shouldn't take him long to get up to speed because he was still able to get his conditioning going. So I'd say the big lines are probably right around the corner, but not tonight. Just 23 minutes, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block. Nemanja Bjelica is probably a guy that I want to talk about here because I saw him preemptively getting dropped in a lot of leagues. People saying Bagley's return would push him into obscurity. And if you haven't dropped him already, I wouldn't until he fades. Like, why not ride it until the wheels fall off? They didn't tonight. He was limited by foul trouble a little bit. He had 4 fouls. He had 10 points, 5 boards, 2 threes, in only 22 minutes. So the minutes did take a hit. I didn't watch this game. I recorded this one. Looking forward to watching it to see what happened here. But it's hard to say whether this minutes dip was partially due to Bagley, partially due to the fouls. In either case, I would keep on holding him. In the last 30 days in 9-cat, he's number 49 on the season. So it's pretty hard to imagine cutting the guy who's number 49 in the last 30 days. Keep on holding till it falls apart. If he was dropped and you got somebody cut, maybe pick him up. Richaun Holmes, speaking of last 30-day stats, number 6 on the season, 9-cat, in the last 30 days. What a monster. I think he will see some of a hit with Bagley back, and I think he might actually see more of a hit than people are letting on, but he's still going to be great. Do not cut him. Do not do these preemptive cuts. He's going to be great. He'll probably see a little come off the top, but he'll be fine. 10-7 tonight with 2 steals, 1 block. Only played 24 minutes, but he too had a few fouls. Harrison Barnes, he was kind of invisible tonight. 5, 4, and 3. No defensive stats, no threes. Corey Joseph still started in place of Fox, 7, 2, and 2. Deep league only guy really here, unless you're really desperate for assists. Buddy Hield's coming back a little bit. Still doesn't have his shooting touch where it was last year, but you can't argue with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 5 3-pointers. Also, the fact that he took 14 3-pointers is amazing. He's, at least last year, was one of the better 3-point shooters by percentage. So, I mean, a couple of those shots get a little closer. He could be talking about 7, 8 threes in this game. Trevor Ariza, kind of surprisingly, I did not see him playing this many minutes with Bagley back. Played 28 tonight for 5 and 5 with 2 steals. Nothing to see there, really. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he was a monster a couple weeks back. Small sample size. He was somewhere in the first round value, a 9-cat. 14 and 3 tonight, 1 steal, 1 3-pointer. If you were able to sell high on him, congratulations. If you recorded any games and you're watching any of them later, I think this is definitely the game to watch this rotation and continue to watch the Kings. Their next game is probably pretty important as well. These stats may change, as Josh said. There's 30 seconds left, and it's 91-91, so this might go to overtime. Josh, what did I miss on these Kings? What's your take on this front court rotation?
I will just echo what you said. Just hang on to both Bjelica and definitely hang on to Richaun Holmes. Just see how things shake out. It is safe to assume that Bagley will get back into that 30-ish minute range. It may take him a little bit of time to get there. I do believe that Bjelica will take the hit, but until that actually happens, just hang on to him. Just as a just in case, because you never know with these guys. And I did want to just mention that I did see some news that De'Aaron Fox does believe that he might be able to return within a couple of weeks.
Oh, nice.
So that would render Corey Joseph completely moot, and that would kind of change the dynamic of this team as well, especially Bogdan Bogdanovic, who, like you said, went on a bit of a tear. But then kind of fallen a little bit back to earth there. It is now 93-91. Again, same about 30 seconds left in this one. Can't imagine, again, barring overtime, that the box score in this one is going to change all of that much. So that's a pretty good rundown of these guys. In a game that I'm pretty sure we don't mind closing on, is unless I missed anything, because I tend to do that. So I didn't miss anything. Did I, Kurt?
No, sir. All we got left is the toilet bowl.
Oh, my God. The toilet bowl between the New York Knicks and the Golden State Warriors. Oh, dear God. The Knicks are somehow winning this game by 14. I don't even know where to begin in this one. There's about 4.5 left to go in the third. The Knicks are up 82-68. That's depressing in so many ways for the Warriors, because the Warriors are actually getting somewhat healthy, relatively speaking. I mean, obviously no Steph, no Clay, but Draymond's back, D'Angelo Russell's back. So this is kind of a disappointing looking score right now. But, look, stranger things have happened. On the Knicks side, Marcus Morris having a big night, 26 points so far, 6 boards and a steal. It's really the scoring that's driving it. He's hit 4 3-pointers and has been perfect at the stripe. And again, it just seems like they're just going to allow him to continue to do his thing. So he may hold value in spite of all the madness that exists on the Knicks. RJ Barrett, who I basically just said cut bait on, is going to try to make me look stupid. 16 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and oh my God, he's 7 of 11 from the floor and hasn't gone to the stripe. If he could do that every night, I will happily eat my words, except they won't play the Warriors every night, so I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. Julius Randle, 17 points so far, 8 boards, 4 assists, no defensive stats, 5 of 11 shooting, and 5 of 8 from the stripe, couple 3-pointers. It has been an absurdly ugly season for Julius Randle. This is a pretty decent line, but again, it's the Warriors. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. because he doesn't really do that much on the defensive side to begin with. He's taken a lot of bad shots on this team. So while there might be some of you nihilists out there that think there's buy low with him, it's still the Knicks, and he's got that Knicks shine on him. So I'm not going to pay that too much mind. Taj Gibson is starting for some reason and had 0 points so far with 4 boards and an assist, a block as well. You can ignore him. Frank Ntilikina, 2 points and 3 turnovers. Yes, I'm reading that correctly. He has 2 points and 3 turnovers in this one on 1 of 2 shooting. I want to launch this team into the sun. Bobby Portis, 11 points, 2 boards, 2 assists off the bench. And I got to cover him. Mitchell Robinson, the more things change, the more they stay the same. He is glued to the bench, has only played 14 minutes thus far, only has 7 points, 6 boards, an assist, and a single block. Please, someone free this man from the hell that is this team. I was that sarcastic enough for you, Kurt? Like I feel like that's a good way to wrap this podcast up, right? Short of the Warriors.
You're right on. How frustrating that they finally fired David Fizdale and this new guy, I believe his name is Mike Miller, comes in.
Oh my God!
Trotting out the same lineup. How is Taj Gibson still starting? So clearly there's somebody in management pulling the strings here, and if that continues, unless they get fired as well, we might not see things break Mitchell Robinson's way. I'm still bullish on him. He's one of the few guys that can just underperform, and because of the blocks, I'm like, buy low, buy low. I would still do that, but man, it has been a frustrating ride for him. I would sell Marcus Morris if you can, because who knows what's going to happen if things do change here. But like you said, they just keep staying the same. I would not be looking at Elfrid Payton like people were in the last week, just because. Yeah, it's just not happening. You can't trust anyone here, really. And man, RJ Barrett, like you said, he's that always happens when you throw some shade on a guy or cut him. Then they'll have a game like this. Next game, he's going to go out there and probably be like 1 for 13.
Yep.
Nowhere near a standard league guy by the rankings, but I could understand if you're holding him in a points league or if you don't care about percentages or turnovers. Yeah, you want to get to the other side of the toilet here?
My God, take us home. Just hit the Warriors so that we can just, oh my God, mercifully end this one.
Alrighty, on the other side of this toilet bowl, we have Eric Pascal, only playing 17 minutes without foul trouble. Currently has 5 points, 1 board, and 1 assist. Nothing else. Pretty disappointing for Pascal. He's really a points, boards, and percentages kind of guy, but just off night for him. I didn't see anything in the injury report, but maybe check that out. Draymond Green, 14, 5, and 8. 3 steals, 1 3, and has currently played 27 minutes. We still have a minute to go in the third. So, I mean, he could easily get over 30 here. I thought his minutes cap was at 27, but then the other night he hit 30-some. As our good man Dan Besbris says, the Warriors are in the middle of a 10-game streak where they don't have any back-to-backs. So if they can stay healthy, guys like Draymond and D'Angelo Russell should be able to string together a good amount of games, and that could be some good time to try to move them. Glenn Robinson, he's so up and down. 11, 2 and 1 steal in 25 minutes so far. Willie Cauley-Stein had a really good game not too long ago. Tonight, 4 and 5, but did chip in 3 blocks. Has played 16 minutes so far. D'Angelo Russell might end up with a good line. He's got 18, 2 and 5, 2 steals, and 4 3-pointers. One guy that I like his game but won't get minutes as long as Draymond Green or Russell are starting is Kai Bowman off the bench. You could drop him pretty much anywhere. Marquise Chris is somewhat interesting, and I really don't want to go back down that rabbit hole again. He's burned us so many times, but if things get shaken up here, he's got the ability to contribute across the board. And he looks a little bit more determined out there this year. He doesn't look quite as confused. Like maybe he actually knows what's going on in the NBA now. But other than that, Alec Burks, I'll touch on him. He was a popular ad. 19 minutes off the bench. 1 of 7 from the field for 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal. He probably will be outside the Standard League discussion while Green and Russell are playing. Probably a 14-16 teamer here. Jordan Poole hasn't entered the game. Oh, Kevon Looney. Only 5 minutes tonight for 5 points, 1 rebound. Don't know what happened here. There's still a whole nother quarter left to play. But if you picked him up and you were hoping for maybe like an 8-and-8 kind of guy with a block and a steal, you're going to have to be patient. But I don't know, Josh. Not a whole lot. It's a roll of the dice with this team beyond Draymond and D'Angelo Russell, and you never know when they're going to sit when they have a hangnail or pretty much anything.
Exactly. Just there's so many wild cards on this team beyond those two guys. Just absolutely no one that I can trust on a night-to-night basis. Just short of other injuries hitting Draymond and D'Angelo Russell. Just really hard to invest in anyone on this team. It is 87-80 at the end of the third. It's worth getting to the finals for these guys. The final score for these guys. So that'll about do it. Kurt, man, it's always exhausting but always fun. Thank you for sticking around with us. Again, this is the box score breakdown. We are a hoop ball presentation. Do check us out, hoop-ball.com. I am Josh Millman, and I've been answering a whole bunch of your questions on Twitter, so you can find me and my man El Capitan on Twitter. I am at Josh Millman. Kurt, you are?
I'm at Captain Canegas. I'll save you the time of spelling it. Check it out in the description. I too will hit you up with answers to your questions. Josh, thanks for always running this big marathon Wednesday. We always have a massive slate, and we always just power through. So it's been fun. Thanks everybody for listening. Let us know how we can improve if we're missing anything. And hit us up with your questions.
Good night, hoopballers.
Have a good one.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.